Franklin Saint, one of the greatest characters in the history of television, especially for the last decade. Now, whether you agree or disagree with the ending of Snowfall, of course, Franklin becoming basically a bum, an alcoholic, going from a $73 million man to a broke man. I know that's kind of funny to say it that way.
$20 is
yeah. But whether you agree with the ending or not, Snowfall fans have been divided as to whether Franklin Saint was or was not a bad guy. And that's what we're going to be discussing today, whether Franklin Saint was a bad guy or if he was not a bad guy, and give more opinion on how we feel about his downfall. Welcome back to the Voiceovers Podcast. I'm 24K Logan.
Cameron Glowman.
All right, man. So, Franklin Saint. Now, you know that he is amongst my top 5 favorite TV characters in history.
Top 5, yeah.
Yes, in history. Definitely top 10. Now, I'm on the side of that he was not a bad guy, at least to start off the show.
Yeah.
He was just an innocent 19-year-old kid, eager to make money. We see how he was treated when he was in college and how he got kicked out of school. And, you know, him hanging around White Boy Rob, that's his name, of course. That led to him taking the cocaine from Rob, meeting Avi for the first time. He got curious. The crack era was just about to pop off, and the rest is history. I don't think that Franklin Saint was a bad guy, at least to start off, but he did become a bad guy, so to speak. He definitely became a monster, you know, when you consider him killing Teddy's father and how he has a lot of blood on his hands indirectly, so to speak. Yeah. What's your take?
So I feel like, we've watched plenty of shows where the main character is like a drug kingpin, or he's just overall they're the main character, but they do things that we'll see from our lens is good, but on the enemy's lens, they're the bad guy, if that makes sense. So with Franklin, you know, being a drug lord, I mean, you know what crack has done to the community back in those days.
And how it's still affecting the community to this day.
Not even just crack, it's drugs in general.
Yeah.
So with you being a main distributor of it and you making a $70+ million profit off of it, sitting in your multi-million-dollar mansion, you know, he destroyed the community for the price of his wallet, if that makes sense. And the things that led him to do with him, I guess he alienated people in a way. So like, he forced them to do stuff that he got everybody into this game, and then it led other people's downfall as well.
Yes.
So he kind of he was created as a monster, and he created monsters, if that makes sense.
I agree.
Or even that scene where he was at a wedding intoxicated, and he had a flashback with a bodies thing.
That might be the greatest scene in Snowfall history.
And when his past self told him everybody got to kiss your ass or else, it was a good depiction of that, because you be seeing people cross him and then he go to kill him, or you know. So that's how I look at that. You know, he was like, you know, everybody got to kiss your ass or else. That's right there alone tells you what kind of guy Franklin was.
And when he was questioning, when his past self was questioning his current self, when he was like, I guess the question is, what have I become? And we see what Franklin became. Yeah. Now, for me, you made a great point when you said that he destroyed his community for $1, for his fortune, for his empire. Yeah. The thing about that is, it goes back to what we said as far as Franklin was an innocent kid at first who was just eager to make money, but then he sort of became a product of his environment and rose to prominence, but he did it the wrong way, so to speak. Yeah. And you know, he could have took the $800,000 that him and V had of liquid money. They could have sold the downtown properties or whatever, and they could have rebuilt a legit real estate empire. Yeah. And they didn't have to. Well, Franklin more so didn't have to continue to pursue that $73 million. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But go ahead.
Oh, we'll talk about $73 million now, actually, because like in the last season, he just wanted his money back. That's all this man wanted.
Yep.
The man Teddy took his money, and that set him off. Now, like I said, money ain't everything, but at the end of the day, it's $73 million, regardless of how you made it.
And $73 million is worth like what, $135 million today with them.
Yeah.
Somewhere around
back
there.
then, that was at late '80s, early '90s. So yeah,
And $73 million is still a hell of a lot of money today.
Yeah,
so.
it can get you a lot of stuff. So basically more than retirement money.
Yeah.
Generational wealth type of money.
Exactly.
So yeah, and it's all he wanted. So he tortured a man, killed a man's father. It's so much that he did just to get it back, just to not even get it.
Are you convinced that Franklin would have killed Teddy's ex-wife and his son?
He was already driven. I mean, he had somebody open a safe for him and shot him later. So he was.
And you know what? And I think that's the conclusion right there to decide whether he was a bad guy or not, because that guy, innocent guy, and if I'm not mistaken, he was a father of 3 children.
Yeah,
and Franklin killed him. So it is, I guess it is. Well, it is very fair to say that Franklin Saint wasn't, or he became a bad guy, but he didn't intentionally or on purpose become that guy. Yes, he made these decisions, but you have to think about his betrayal, or not his betrayal, but how Louis betrayed him, and how eventually he was at war with his uncle, so to speak. And I blame a lot of this on Louis.
Yeah,
she's not the sole reason, but I think she's the biggest reason to why the Saint family had their issues, why Jerome died, and how it led to Franklin, his downfall, and then of course Teddy played a huge part in it too, because he stole his fortune.
True, and he also didn't, like I said, like he didn't want to become the kingpin drug lord. Yes. Only thing this man wanted to do was just sell dope and stuff.
Exactly.
But Louis, took him to that club, and Jerome didn't even want to go down there. They went down there. One thing led to another. He met Teddy, and Teddy was already getting that stuff in from down south, bringing it to the States.
Yes.
So, at the end of the day, it was also the government's fault as well. It's a lot. It's like
they arguably played the biggest part, because they knew that stuff was coming over here. Franklin had just gave into it.
And I feel like that's the moral of this story. Like greed, like it can ruin you.
And regardless, it definitely ruined Franklin.
Regardless of like what you're being greedy for, whether it's money, power, respect. You get too greedy, you'll get your worth, but it'll be a cost. It'll be a price you got to pay for it. So that's kind of how I look at it. Franklin ultimately paid a price of, I guess, his sanity, his happiness, family, friends, community. It's so much that goes into it, of like how much he cared about his money and his empire at the end of the day.
And while I understand that, it's not just the fact that he lost $73 million. It's the fact that he had got so used to that lifestyle of having fortune and an empire. I mean, he had his private jet, he had a nice fancy place, he had a bunch of real estate, and then of course you add in the $73 million fortune and all the liquid cash that he had. He went from humble beginnings to being one of the biggest drug lords in the country, having the CIA on his back, or being connected to the CIA, and then he went back to ground zero. With all of that being combined, he goes back to ground zero, and in his mind, it's like he can't fathom being a quote-unquote normal person again, because of the heights that he reached. And so the only way for him to deal with the reality of being a normal person again is to be non-sober, to be drunk, maybe even be high. I don't think they ever, well, they didn't. They never said anything about him getting on drugs or whatnot.
Yeah,
but I
it was
wouldn't
just
be
really
surprised
alcohol.
if it led to that.
It was really just alcohol and laying in the hoarded house. That's really the reality. Or even you pointed out like how things came full circle, like with the Alton thing.
How Alton was the person that Franklin hated the most at one point. He was a bum. He was an alcoholic, and he, redeemed himself. And that's what I wanted to wrap this up with. The Snowfall spinoff. I think that this is going to be Franklin's redemption. Obviously, Franklin is not going to be a main character, at least as we know right now. But I think it would be a very huge missed opportunity if FX does not bring back Franklin Saint into the fold, at least with some guest / cameo appearances, because I think a lot of fans would love to see a redemption story for Franklin. We see how he became what Alton had became, or what Alton had become.
Yeah.
With his addiction and how he became, I hate to say it so easily, but a bum.
Yeah.
That's what Franklin is right now.
Yeah.
Can Franklin redeem himself just like Alton did and have a happier ending than Alton did? Because of course we see what happened to Alton based off of what Teddy has said in the 9th episode of season 6.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that is a smart route for the spinoff to go, to give us, maybe that's not the main focus of the spinoff, but give Franklin Saint a redemption story? Because with him not dying, I think that leaves endless possibilities for his character.
Even if it's not a redemption arc, we at least gotta, like, obviously he can't just be the main character of a spinoff. I mean, it doesn't work like that. But I at least want to know, does he clean himself up? Does he get back in the game? What does he do? So I'll leave it to the writers, and when the spinoff releases, I'll have my opinion then. So you asked me if Franklin Saint was a bad guy.
Yes.
This is what really made him a bad guy right here.
Okay.
When him and Leon was walking down the street and he made fun of Wanda's first love.
God.
Dude, that makes you a bad guy right there. I'm like, dang.
I wouldn't say that makes you a bad guy. It makes you an asshole, but I don't think it makes you a bad guy.
I don't know what's worse in that perspective right there. But yeah, he's a anti-hero, if you want to call it that. Since he's the protagonist.
Yes. In the earlier moments of the show, yes, he's definitely an anti-hero.
Yeah, but he leads down to become, like you said, a monster. So since he's the protagonist, a lot of people look at him as the good guy. But since what he's done, he's the bad guy.
I would argue, like, yes, even though him killing that man that had unlocked the safe for him and killing Teddy's father, yes, those were bad things, but I don't think that he truly had that in his heart to begin with. I think they pushed him to that. I mean, think about it. Into season 5, his $73 million is stolen by Teddy, and then he's betrayed by his Aunt Louie, and then we see what happens throughout season 6. I think they pushed him to do all that.
Yeah, like I said, agreed. I think he even had a line where he was like, "You pushed me to do this," or something.
Exactly,
like that.
And that's why, I mean, yeah, you could say he's a bad guy. You can definitely make a strong argument for him being a bad guy, but you also have to question the people around him, his family, the people that he worked with, because they ultimately had pushed him into that. Because at the end of season 5, he was going to walk off with the $73 million right off into the sunset. He was probably going to continue to run a real estate empire, but that $73 million was the retirement plan for his entire family.
Yeah.
And that would have been the alternate universe of that story.
With his, like I said, it was greed, but it was also like a goal or accomplishment. He just wanted his ultimate goal was to get his money back.
Yes.
So regardless of who you are, if you have a goal in life, some people would do unspeakable things they never would have thought of doing just to get what they wanted.
And I think that's unfortunately what he did.
Yeah. So regardless if it was killing somebody, stealing, destroying the community, he wanted it. He went to go get it, or at the end he didn't get it.
Yeah, and that's the sad reality. But it was a full circle moment with the ending. Well, guys, we appreciate y'all for watching. Comment down below if you think Franklin Saint was a bad guy or not. Drop your predictions for the Snowfall spinoff that's been rumored. And tell us where you rank Franklin Saint as a character all time amongst other TV characters. And even where you rank Snowfall. More content is on the way. Thanks again for watching.
Leave a like.
Leave a subscription. It'll help us out a lot. Peace and love to everybody.